Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Perlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Perlman.
Hello, my guest is Ximena Yanez Soto. She is a certified Integrative Nutrition health coach, a certified level 1 and level 2 Reiki practitioner, a yoga instructor, and for over 20 years, she served as the CFO of a major Mexican environmental fund. She has also authored the book, Healthy Planet, Healthy You, Simple Habits for a Brighter Future. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be in your program. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You worked for a couple of decades to try and preserve and protect Mexico's environment with various conservation efforts. With that experience, you decided that it's important that people also look at their own environment and what they are doing to make their lives healthier. So you have created a resource in your book that describes ways that people can have a healthier diet and be healthier for the planet. What are some of the key takeaways other than that we need to change what we're putting into our bodies and read those labels and make sure that the ingredients are healthy?
Yeah, the first thing is that we need to bring more consciousness to what we eat, because what we're eating actually is damaging the environment. And if we don't have a healthy planet, there's no way we can be healthy. So the takeaways, I would say, just to be mindful. It's difficult to say this, but we have heard a lot of lies in our lives, like, for example, you need animal protein in every meal, which is not true. Of course, we need protein because our bodies make protein. We need the amino acids, but we don't need to get the amino acids from the protein from the animals. We can get them from anything, from cucumbers and lettuce and seeds and legumes and a sort of different foods. If all human beings in Earth, like 7.9 billion human beings, eat the standard American diet, we would need around 7 Earths to cover that demand. So it's not sustainable the way we're eating. We're overeating animal protein. And that is also damaging the environment, because to have the amount of animals that people are demanding, we need to get those animals into confined areas, which are called CAFOs, which is industrial farming. Those farms, they break the cycle, the natural cycle of nature, because they have waste. In a natural cycle in nature, we don't have waste, because the waste of something becomes the input for something else. These industrial farms, we have a lot of waste, and that's damaging soils, water, air. It's contributing to climate change.
That term farm is truly inappropriate, because the animals are not roaming around on a farm. They aren't free. They aren't eating pasture food. They're in confinement. It's inhumane. They're being fed antibiotics, arsenic. They're being fed dead animal products. The term farm shouldn't apply to these industrial facilities.
You're absolutely right. They're eating mostly grains that are not their normal food, and mostly GMOs.
You mentioned the lies that we have been fed and that we believe. I found the stories that you provided about how those lies came about most interesting, because most people just accept it. They have accepted the commercial advertisements. Got milk, we have to have dairy. They've accepted the fact that breakfast is the most important meal, and that was created by a commercial company, Kellogg's, to promote their cornflakes. And then there's the PR firm that promoted the need for bacon and eggs in a big breakfast. You showed in your book how most of the studies regarding these lies were funded and are funded by the big agricultural business. So it's important that we look at where this information is coming from.
Yeah, I suggest in my book, follow the money, because also many of the studies and the results of things academics have been doing, there's some in the food industry, they're putting money, for example, to say that sugar is not bad for us.
Our governmental agencies are not always providing the proper standards because they are being funded by the agribusiness.
That's correct, yeah.
Your book, A Healthy Planet, Healthy You, was originally written in Spanish. I read the English version, and it was superbly translated. You mentioned in it, because you did come from Mexico, that Mexico has the highest percentage of obese children.
Yeah.
Why Mexico?
Because we're too close to the U.S. and we are eating the standard American diet, plus the things we used to eat, like a lot of tacos and things with a lot of fat. We're not just eating the standard American diet, we're combining it with our traditional foods. And we drink a lot of sodas. They were prohibited a couple of years ago by the government. They can't sell sodas in the schools, but everybody drinks soda. We have a lot of cookies and pastries.
You describe the scarcity of meat during times of war and how the heart problems, diabetes were less when people had less meat.
Yeah, actually, I'm a health coach now. When we put a lot of animal protein in our plates, we're not putting plants. But when we don't have plants in our plates, that's when we become sick. Plants, they produce phytochemicals. They produce their own compounds to fight diseases. So when we eat them, we have that goodness in us, and they communicate easily with our microbiome.
And we know that ecologically speaking, we should be eating the plants directly rather than having over 70% of the plants raised fed to animals that we eat. It's not the most ecological way to use resources.
Yeah. If we eat the standard American diet, the 7.9 billion people right now, we would need 7 Earths. Actually, more than 70% of the grains produced go to feed these animals. You need like 11 pounds of legumes or grains to produce just one serving of meat. With those grains, you could feed 32 people instead of one.
You worked for over 20 years as the chief financial officer for a Mexican environmental fund. What is the Spanish name and the English name of that group, and what did they accomplish?
The name is Fondo Mexicano para la Conservación de la Naturaleza, and in English you could say Mexican Fund for the Conservation of Nature. That fund has worked over 25 years. It works with the government. They have some projects in very specific parts of Mexico, for example, Baja California, or the east coast like Yucatan and Mesoamerican Reef, and also in the middle part of Mexico like the Monarca Butterfly Reserve. We have projects and we work with the natural protected areas. They can bring awareness to communities. They can try to recover all these ecosystems in some areas of Mexico. So they're like kind of very integrative projects that go from mountains and they come down and they go to the coast. And they also do some things for water and rivers. We have to clean the rivers, soil degradation and erosion. They have a lot of things they do because every part in Mexico needs different things.
Indeed, that fund has financed over 2,000 conservation projects, invested more than $165 million, protected priority habitats and landscapes. And I think a lot of people don't realize the diversity of ecosystems in Mexico, from the very south of International Biosphere Reserve to unique rainforests in cenotes in the Yucatan area to the Sonoran Desert. Over in the mountains, as you say, the monarch butterflies have their winter habitat. The Gulf of California has the smallest endangered dolphin in the world. The paleoecology of Baja California is fascinating. There's so many different areas. In addition, you've got a tremendous cultural history that needs preservation as well. well.
Yeah. So we work a lot with communities. They need to love to preserve their natural resources and also their social inheritance.
Since Mexico has a long border with the United States and wildlife doesn't recognize those political boundaries, there has to be a lot of international cooperation so that the animals can pass across from one country to another. And then you have here in California, down in San Diego and Tijuana, you have the need to make sure that the pollution from one area doesn't affect that in another country.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we have the border and we have the wall. For many years, we didn't have bisons. For example, that was one project. We have bisons again. Nature doesn't know about borders.
Both countries have the eagle on their flag, and the eagle is endangered. What are the efforts to make sure that they survive?
Yeah, in Mexico we have a project, the eagle we have in Mexico. There are 70 couples. People steal the eggs and steal the birds and take some of them to have them in their houses. So 70 couples is nothing. So we have this project and we were monitoring the baby eagles and we were following them. They eat things that are polluted with pesticides and herbicides. So they die. And then we have the electric fences and they get electrocuted. Mexico is trying to preserve the eagles.
Are the schools teaching environmental studies and conservation needs so that the younger people know that they have a tremendous resource, that they shouldn't steal the eggs of the eagles or the nesting turtles? And that's a problem because of tourists on the beaches.
There have been some efforts. They have been teaching communities. It's very, very important to bring the communities into the project and to fall in love with them and to feel that they are part of something bigger. It's not just doing conservation. Conservation has to be done by the communities. They have to understand the value of what they're doing and the value of preserving something. We have brought the communities and they have done a lot of things like storybooks for children to paint and draw the eagles, and children are the best hope, right?
You tell a story that I would like you to share of a wise man and a thief.
So there's a tale about a wise man that lived in the mountains in a cabin. He was very poor and he just had something to write, his clothes and the things he was supposed to eat every day. And one day he left and went to play with the children in the village. And then a thief came to his cabin looking for something to steal. And that thief couldn't find anything because the wise man didn't have anything. So he was leaving the cabin and the wise man was coming back and he saw this thief and he said, "Oh, hi, I'm glad you came to visit me. I think you couldn't find anything, but here, take my clothes. Have something. This is a gift to you." So the thief was confused and he was like, okay. He took the clothes and went away. So the wise man sat down and looked outside. He had some paper and his pen and he was about to write something and he saw the moon outside his window. And he said, "Poor man, I would have loved to give him this beautiful moon." And he wrote, "The thief left behind the moon in my window." So I relate this to us human beings, that we live in this very wise planet and we're depleting it from everything. We want to have everything. We steal everything. We are forgetting that we're a community, not just between us human beings, but also between plants and animals. We all share this planet. So we're doing to planet Earth the same thing as this thief did to the wise man. We're not even thinking or being grateful or anything. We just go with whatever we can take. Maybe one day we'll just see that and be grateful with planet Earth.
There are so many books about the need to change our diets, but it's always good to get a refresher, as your book has provided, in terms of why we should and what we're eating and what is in the food. And normally those books have recipes. You're not the exception. You have some recipes. I didn't get to try them out, but they look delicious.
They are delicious. They were made by Natalia Delgado. She's a Mexican vegan chef. It's not just Mexican food. They're very elaborated. Many people ask me, "Are you sure this doesn't have any meat?" or animal protein. And I'm like, no, it's just vegetables. And they can't believe it because of the great taste. Eating is a pleasure, and when we should enjoy our meals, and they should taste great, of course.
You are working on your English website, but you do have the Spanish one, www.btb.coach. This book, Healthy Planet, Healthy You, is available via PDF.
Well, I have the Spanish book is available in Amazon and on Kindle. I also finished already my website in English. It's www.believetransformb.com, and the book in English is coming out.
Thank you so very much for reminding us that we have to care about our health and our diet personally, and we have to care about the health of the planet, and it is so interrelated. Thank you for being my guest. Thank you.
Nancy, it was a pleasure to be here, and I hope we can talk sometime.
I have been speaking with Ximena Yanez Soto. She is a certified integrative nutrition health coach and author of Healthy Planet, Healthy You, Simple Habits for a Brighter Future. I'm Nancy Pearlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Pearlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.